This video was brought to you by Stormberg, a better route planner, MisterGreen, Kempower and Marcus Bil. Yo, what's up? Today we are at Elywhere in, well, is this Stokke or Sandefjord? Where is it?
It's between Tønsberg and Sandefjord, just in the middle, in Vestfold County.
Yeah, it's in the south of Norway-ish. And you know, the background is that a while ago you guys saw me visiting this Circle K charging container with battery. Today we are at the factory. So you're gonna have a little factory tour. But maybe you can have a little quick introduction of Elywhere and maybe you and the other founder.
Yeah, I can do. My name is Kenneth Hauge. I'm the co-founder and CEO of the company. Me and Anders Rudlang, who is the CTO of Elywhere. We founded the company back in 21, in March 21. So we have had quite a journey since we started. We started in a smaller location in this same area, but we found quickly out that that was too small for us. So today we have, just for 2 months ago, we moved into a new location. We have about 3,500 square meters of production area. And in the background, what you don't see here, we also have office facilities on the back here. So what we do here we do the production line of our ES300. The framework, the steel framework, as you can see in the different colors here, are produced in a next door building. It's taken up to us, put in through the doors, where we then set in, let's say, the batteries, the power units, the satellites, and the main board. And we do the testing, and then they go out in the opposite way, and we roll it into a trailer, and then it goes off to somewhere up north or somewhere down south of Europe.
Very cool. Let me do a little quick tour. We can do a tour here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you see here we have the batteries. Oh, wait, is this the batteries?
These are the batteries from a Swedish company called Polarium. They deliver the batteries together with Pixie, as you can see in the behind. We put the batteries inside the cabinets. We can also show it later on the demo version. But Pixie is a Norwegian company that are producing the battery, the BESS and BMS systems for us. So they have been a big part of developing our product. So these are the cabinets where you have space for 10 units from 5 or 10 kilowatts each. And yes, so the batteries are separate. We put everything in, put them onto the unit. And then, of course, connect it with other technology that we have available. That's going to be put on board.
Yeah, so here we see one of those, I don't know, frames or what you call it. And there could be cables running under here. The units will be stacked here, or I mean, placed here.
First of all, this unit have the same size as a 20-foot container. So it's 6 meter long, 240 wide, and 280 high. Including all, let's say, batteries and everything, it have a weight about 7.2 tons.
So I'm going to show you guys this. You might see this for the first time ever.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be like a behind the scene before the grand premiere. It's a made in Norway DC charger. I mean, yeah, it's a fast charger from Norway.
Yes,
and it's 720 kilowatts. Was it maximum?
Yeah. First of all, this is of course exclusively for you, Bjørn. So, but this is a Norwegian produced and manufactured DC charger that can charge up to 300 kilowatt, but with a temperature limitation on it because of the cables.
Yeah, it's not a water-cooled cable.
Yeah, so we call this ES360 because it's up to 360 kilowatt of charging possibility. It's dual volt dual volt, so it can go from 100 to 1,000 volt. So, and we have just finished the cable management, so everything should be proper. So let's say that the cables don't hit the ground. And another thing that it's very important to say is that it's universal designed. So if you are in a wheelchair, you will of course have the possibility to use the unit and everything. And here you have, of course, everything with payment system. You have everything that is available in the market of technology today. I have to say, this is, of course, a pilot. It will be not a lot different from when it's finished. But when you see, let's say, the screws and the nuts will not be shown in the standard
it looks
unit.
really rugged, and I like the design here, the cable holder here.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be able to take some heavy load, right?
Yes, 150 kilos, are we told.
Can I try to hang on one of them?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try.
Yeah.
Okay, you hold the camera.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. We are doing this on a prototype. You see,
Yeah.
I tend to break prototypes. This is some heavy. Whoa! Okay, that is sturdy for a prototype. If you can open maybe this part here, this is the charger.
This is the power unit. This is, let's say, the main product for the satellites.
So yes, I found out. We talked today. We have LFP batteries here, and each of these looks like a server rack, is 50 kWh each, and they have a whopping 8 to 9,000 cycle rating and 5-year warranty, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, just by knowing that this is LFP, that is already quite awesome. And actually, each of these modules, or whatever you call them, they operate on only 48 volts. But so you don't need to. I mean, they are not connected in serial or anything to create some high voltage. But it doesn't need to, because you see up on the top there we have the inverters. Well, two-way inverters, because you then transform AC to DC for storing, but you also go the other way for discharging.
Yes.
And then, yeah, I should mention, by the way, in case it wasn't clear, that this whole package here is 300 kWh, and then it can actually discharge 300 kilowatt, or technically also charge at 300 kilowatt. But it only needs to be fed with 43 kilowatt AC, minimum 43 or more.
Minimum 400 volt and 63 amps. That's the minimum, but we can take up to 250 amps as well. So the blades you see here today are 5 kilowatts each, but they can also they're also available in 10 kilowatts in 10 kilowatt as well. So then we can have up to 600 kilowatt hours of storage in the unit.
Yeah, okay, now I need to maybe explain or emphasize what is the whole point with this box here. And we'll come back to more, but you know, the whole point is that when you have a conventional charging network, you have to usually, it depends if it's, especially if it's high power charging like this, right? You need to connect to a transformer. You might even have to install a transformer. You will typically see it's like a little hut or something, a little shed. That's the transformer. It could be 500, what they call it, kVA, or 1,000 kVA, right? That costs money, that costs time, and it requires digging and planning and permissions. But here, just like they did at Ski, you can just slap it down.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
Okay, why do they? Circle K, did they need to apply for any permit, or how was that?
No, because this is not a permanent installation. So in Norway, I can't say for sure about the other European countries, but in Norway, as long as this is not a permanent installation, it will have the same rules as a 20-foot ordinary container. That means that you can place it out for a certain time, and let's say you can move it around on your own in your own location. But since this also is energy storage and charging in it, there is no time limitation for how long you can have it on location as well.
The return on investment here is as low as 3 years. That is crazy low.
Yeah.
The one reason why it could also be so low is because this solution here, those inverters and everything here, you can use it for frequency balancing on the grid and peak shaving. But you know, my initial concern was that, okay, if you're going to use these batteries for grid balancing or frequency balancing or peak shaving, will it then consume a lot of battery power and then you don't have enough for the charging? Well, turns out that if you want to do some grid balancing, even if some cars even are charging here, right? You connect it to the grid, and then you, if for some reason you need to balance the grid or something, the grid might require 100 kilowatt, 150 kilowatt instantly within tens of seconds. And then this unit can supply that, but it will only output that for maybe 10 seconds. And then, so energy-wise, you're not using much energy at all, and you can also just slowly put it back again. But it's just that it needs that initial push to balance the grid. You don't want the hertz or the frequency to go too much off 50 hertz, otherwise you'll mess up stuff. So that means that company who installs this, they can make money on charging, but they can also make money on other things. And another thing that is actually a big cost is peak power. So I tried to get some, tried to figure out this. Maybe you guys know, by the way, my viewers. But for example, a location. You know, when I take those trips to the north, and you go to no man's land, and then you plug in at the 50 kilowatt charger. And then boom, suddenly it's more than 50 kilowatt that gets pulled. And then that company, Mer, right, will have to pay a lot. We're talking about tens of thousands of NOK maybe, right, in peak power, just because one guy plugged in.
We can also reduce the tariff costs in total, because you can use the energy you have stored on the batteries to turn back to the building. So let's say in the morning, especially 7 to 9 o'clock when people are starting their offices, then the tariffs, especially in Norway, are very high. But then you can use, let's say, energy from the battery to certain, let's say when you are starting the air condition or when you are starting something. That means that if you do that every day for 250 days a year, it will be enormous amount of money to save. But I just have to mention one other thing, that also when it comes to solar system, the unit is perfect for solar system, because the let's say the overload of the overproduction from your solar panels can be saved in the battery bank.
Yeah, I need to highlight one thing. I love the idea with solar panels. You know why? Because when you buy a solar system, you have to buy the panels, but you also need to buy inverters. Here we already have the inverters. All you need to do is buy the solar panels. For example, at the Circle K, they can just slap down some solar panels on the roof, run a little cable over to this one that does the AC-DC conversion. So you actually save the cost of inverter because you already have it here. Yes. And you already have local storage here. It's freaking brilliant. Yeah. What is the problem with today's chargers? Well, the chargers, they are based on, they need AC from the grid, and then they convert to the DC. The cars need DC. The batteries are here already DC. So the way it works today is that first we get AC from the gas station or somewhere. We convert it to DC, put it in the battery, and then from the battery we convert it back to AC, and then we feed this one with AC that converts to DC. You see, there's a lot of AC-DC. I mean, AC-DC is awesome, but sometimes we get some losses. But they are already planning on getting rid of the AC-DC conversion. So in the future, the batteries will go directly to the chargers, DC all the way. So when I heard that, it was like, hallelujah. I mean, if that works one day, there will be slightly less losses, there will be less components that needs to be run, less fans that needs to be run, you just go directly. That's the way to go, man. Well, we have now Anders, which is one of the co-founders, was it? Yeah, here also. But you know, I just want to mention one other thing. I mentioned that yes, this container makes sense in no man's land, right? But it also makes sense in more urban areas, maybe, because maybe you can fill in here, Anders. Now it's getting harder and harder, maybe, to get enough power. Right? Many places, I heard also, for example, Espa, they wanted to expand there. They had to pay lots of money to get some more grid connection or something. But with the battery, you can solve this problem. Yeah,
that is absolutely right. It's possible to move this unit into areas where the grid connections are weak. The DSO in the local area might have very limited resources to build out. Meaning we can place this in more, let's say, rural areas and set it up to set up charging, hypercharging or supercharging where there is normally not possible to do that.
Okay, here now we take a little look at the software, and yeah, we will look at the Circle K Ski. So this site seems to have almost more traffic than you guys anticipated, maybe.
Absolutely. I think we are about 3 times the level that we planned a little less than a year ago, back in the spring of 2022. In this case, you can see that this green line here, that is actually the state of charge in the batteries in the module. And the blue line is what we actually collect from the grid. And that is never higher than, you can see now, is 48.8 kilowatts. That's the maximum that we can actually get from the grid here. So that's an 80 amp input from the grid here. You can see that we are using this 48.8 K from the meter, and also 48.1 K is now charging the batteries here. So we are currently charging the local batteries. But if you see through the day here, we have from yesterday evening, we have been down to something like 15–16% of state of charge. But during the night, this is last night, up to 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, we have up to nearly 100% of charging in the batteries. And then the first charging customers comes in. And this is today, which is a Thursday. You have the lunchtime. We can also see that after lunch, when people come back, starting to drive back from work and so on, they're going into this station to charge. And in here we actually are discharging the batteries, following the traffic for the cars. So currently, at the end here, which is about now, we can see that we are close down to 10. Now it's 11 again. So currently the charging station is charging up the batteries. But as soon as there are coming a car in, the power shaper will start discharging the energy and moving it into the cars that are connected. We can also see for...
By the way, last thing, before you leave that screen, I see that you guys set the minimum state of charge to be 10% and then the maximum is 90, right?
Yeah.
Here on the graph.
We can also see this pattern over more days. We can see from, let's say, the last 7 days. It might take a little while to get this picture up. But then you will see actually how it looks during each weekday of a normal process here. We can also go into each of these cabinets in the charging station and see what's the status of each cabinet. This is a very typical week. These are the last 7 days. And you see the green line here, that is actually at night time when the batteries are charged. Then during daytime we have a lot of activities, which is happening here. And every day it's charging up during night, discharging during day. A little different pattern, but quite the same pattern every day. It's a little different on this station in the weekends and in the weekdays. This is typical a station that is most used in the weekdays, because this is placed in a close to Ski Storsenter in outside Oslo, where people are charging taxis and all types of charging cars coming in there. And you see now today it's been working between 20 and 30% every day this last week, but today, which is a Thursday, it's typically going quite low on power here. These data, we are using them and we're storing every day, every session. All the data is stored in our data bank. We're using them both for reporting and also for analyzing how we can do this even more effective and more cost effective for the customer. So in this case, we can also control both the peaks and the balancing of the energy that is used from the batteries.
So if Circle K wants to make more money, basically, do they add more batteries, or do they increase the feed? Well, they can't probably not increase the feed.
We can do, well, actually the problem is actually the feed. Because in this location, it wouldn't be possible with a charging station if it didn't have the batteries, because there is not enough energy in the local net station. So this is actually just about on the railway station at the Ski is here.
Shopping center.
And the shopping center is here. So this is very close to the center of Ski. So this station is very central in the area there.
Not enough power there.
No. So this is a very old grid that is covering up this, meaning that the power station or the net station is in the neighborhood of the station here, but would be extremely expensive and very time consuming. Also during all the regulations from the grid owner, from the authorities. It would probably take from anything from 6 to 18 months to get enough power, enough capacity, and all the regulations in place to build a normal or old-fashioned, as we call them, charging station. But in this case, we used just a few weeks with the local authorities to be able to set up this station, which is typical a temporary installation, as I call it. But it can be standing there for 10 years. The whole thing is that it can be removed during between 2-3 hours. You can remove the whole box.
But I see that Circle K, if they could just add a bigger buffer, they could then avoid getting down to 10%.
Yeah, and this is of course the beauty of this solution. It means that if you now, during a few months, can see that the demand for charging is much, much higher than you can deliver here, we can actually swap this station. During a day, we can actually set up a new station with a double amount of energy capacity and set that up instead of the ones that's there. And this one can actually be moved to another place where the traffic is lower. So this makes it possible for different CPOs and MSPs around to just test out some sites without making a big project with excavations and installations and everything, which takes years and months to complete. Here they can actually test out the market and expand or remove it if it's not giving enough money.
And also, you know, I always wonder when a company like Fortum or Circle K decides to install a location. I mean, they have to be sure that that location will sell, or I mean, people will charge there. Mm-hmm. I've seen cases where Fortum they install something. I think it was at Vinstra, and then they were actually outcompeted by Grønn Kontakt, and they had to remove chargers. That sounds like an expensive deal.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point you bring up here. What you also can do here is actually to test out locations where there wouldn't normally be so easy to set up a charger. And in this case, this is so flexible that you can actually put it in a place where you not expected that there are too much drivers or chargers. But then you can If it's too small a market, you can move it somewhere else. Or vice versa, you can also expand it. You can expand the power and the battery to cover the needs for that local area without any kind of excavating and digging and a lot of other fixed installations. So we can do this in a much more flexible way.
And another thing I love about this solution is that, you know, there are many arguments against EV, like you know, it's bad for the environment, and the EVs, they will kill the grid. This one is actually helping the grid, because
exactly.
Traditional chargers, they might pull 1 megawatt during peak hours.
Yeah.
This one can shave off the peak a little bit,
exactly.
and it can even help balance the grid. Or
yeah, everybody's talking about load balancing and peak shaving. This is load balancing and peak shaving in practice.
Yeah, so if you have, let's say, 100 of these units spread across Norway, it will actually make the whole national grid better.
You must not reveal more secrets now, because we can actually be a virtual power plant.
Yeah.
We and our customers together, we can set up a total network of these chargers with the batteries, and we can be a really large virtual power plant in Norway and other countries. You know, other countries is even more interested in this in Norway.
Yeah, yeah. And also, okay, I should mention again, for you guys who don't know, I mean, LFP batteries. And the reason why you guys chose LFP battery is because of lifetime. It's an insane lifetime, and it's also the safest of them all. You could probably crash a truck in here, and nothing would catch fire.
I wouldn't try. I wouldn't try. But at least it will be destroyed, but the batteries won't take fire.
Yeah, exactly. They won't, because LFP is super safe. You can almost puncture it and it won't catch fire.
One very important topic is also that we are placing this now, for instance, in typical service stations, and it's close to also the oil and gas and the gas dispensers. We can't never risk anything. This is, I mean, high power energy and gas together, not a good combination. Meaning we need to select the most safe environment needed to set it up.
Yeah.
That's why we have chosen LFP and the way we have set it up.
And one last thing is that LFP does not contain cobalt. So that's one less argument against EV driving. So, I mean, guys, this solution now, from what I learned from you guys today, it's freaking brilliant. This solution here, it's brilliant. Once the companies who watch this channel, they start looking at how stuff works with the charging stations and the whole economics around it, they'll be like, okay. But yeah, so but I think we're just gonna end it there. But thank you guys so much for showing me the product here.
Thank you for coming to us, Bjørn.
Really.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. So if you guys have any questions, just ask in the comment section, I guess. And then if you want to contact them directly, there will be a link to Elywhere. Yeah. So I think that's going to be it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you for watching, and talk to you later.
Okay.